Hi, Year 12. I'm going to be talking to you about what you can expect from history in September, and hopefully I will answer some questions that you may have. And I'm also going to introduce the team and a few other things. So, first of all, I'm Miss Walker, and I like dressing up, as you might be able to see from my Tudor ruff here. It's actually from IKEA, but there we go. I like visiting different monuments. There's a picture of me there in Egypt, and I like going to graveyards and historical places like that. It's called dark tourism. I think a lot of historians like it, and it's something that I would recommend. So Arnos Vale is a lovely cemetery, a Victorian cemetery in Bristol, and it's well worth a visit. As part of your history course, you will be doing two modules. You will be doing a British module and a Russian module, and then you'll be doing a separate NEA, which is something we'll talk about later. I'm going to take this off, it's a bit difficult to talk to you and have it on, even though it's lovely. So the British course is taught by me, Miss Walker, as the head of history, Miss Truman, who's the head of sixth form, and then the Russian course is taught by Miss Higgs and Mr. Patterson. So I will talk briefly about the content today, but if you have any other questions, you can either email me or that you can look at the AQA website, because it goes into a lot more detail about what we cover, and also books and things like that are on the website for you to buy. So history is such a fascinating subject. It's also a facilitating subject. A lot of the skills you use will be helpful for university and further study and jobs as well. But actually, I just thought we'd just have a moment to reflect on what's going on in the country at the moment, which just shows how important history is. There's been a lot of debates about the role of statues. So you will probably be aware that Edward Colston's statue came down in Bristol. He was philanthropic, so he did charitable work for Bristol, but he was also a slave trader, and a lot of his money was made through the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, which Bristol was obviously a hub of. Now, what's happened since the protest, where it was illegally taken down, is the council has removed the name of Colston Hall and Colston Towers in several areas. So this kind of shows history in action, and the reaction to this shows kind of some people's understanding of history and different people's interpretations of history. But the toppling of statues is actually in itself a historical event. So you can see Stalin, a huge statue of Stalin there, taken down from some anti-communist uprisings in Hungary, for example. And at the moment, there are calls to take down other statues. And indeed, Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, has taken down some statues in London. So it just shows you, even a statue, you know, brings to life history and can actually be quite emotive and make people want to make, you know, decisions about whether it should be there or not. And that's something that's really interesting. So that just shows how important history is. So what skills will you be learning during your A-level with us? Well, we want you to question things, question everything, really. We want you to look at evidence. We want you to look at why people have different understandings of things. Why are there different interpretations? We want you to be more independent learners. So when you do your NEA, you'll be doing work without direct supervision, and you'll need to manage your time and priorities effectively, which is a really important skill for later jobs and also university. It is an intellectually rigorous course, so we will be pushing you, we will be challenging you, but we will be supporting you in making those steps up from GCSE. We want lots of discussion, debate, argument. We want you to be able to really start to hone your analytical skills and be able to write essays that show that you understand kind of all of the different opinions and looking at different historians' approaches as well. Now, you do 3 courses. I'm not going to talk about them in loads of detail because, as I said, you can look at them in more detail on the website, and we will be kind of doing a lot on this over the next few weeks in September. But the British course, the one I teach, is a really lovely course because it goes through kind of recent history and really helps us to understand how modern Britain came about. So we look at fashion, we look at politics, we look at like the foreign policy of different governments across the period of the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, all the way up to 2007. Okay, so it's really interesting. We look at things like the Suez Crisis, we look at foreign relations, we look at the special relationship between America and Britain. We look at different leaders across this period. We look at arguments for and against nuclear deterrence, for example. We look at race relations, riots, the murder of Stephen Lawrence, for example. We look at Tony Blair and his victory in 97, and it's a really interesting overview. And as I said, it really helps you to understand the Britain that we have today. And it's got lots of discussion, lots of debate. We'll be talking about music from different periods. We'll be looking at lots of different things. And we're going to be looking at sources and, you know, the value of sources for this topic. Then we do Russian, which I'm going to talk about a trip that we've done previously as well. But Russia starts by looking at the Tsars and the role of being an autocrat and how that system of government falls. And then we look at the Bolsheviks, we look at uprisings, and we look at the implementation of the Soviet Union. So again, a really interesting one, looking at also quite a political aspect, so the role of liberalism, communism, socialism, and really helping you to understand all of those things. So if you're doing politics as well, these really what complement each other, but even if you're not, we will support you in understanding those key political ideas. And then something we do a little bit differently to a lot of colleges at Hayswood Mixed Sixth is we do the NEA, which is the non-examined assessment, but we actually teach it. Okay, so in the summer of the AS level year, you will be doing taught modules on the Tudor rebellions. So this is really interesting, and you've probably touched on maybe a GCSE, for example, if you were at Hayswood, you would have done Elizabeth. So you've touched on some of these monarchs before, but it really is a good overview and gets you thinking about change and continuity. And we look at interpretations of the period, but particularly the Tudor rebellions and revolts. So it's a really interesting one, and we really support you in that. Okay, so we give you questions, you choose a question to write a piece of coursework, basically. We have lots of books to support you. So although it is an independent task, there's lots of support for you. And this is excellent preparation for university, where you might be, for example, writing a dissertation or something similar. Now, the best bit, of course, because we do Russia, we have been to Russia before, and this was such an amazing experience. It snowed, it was fantastic. We got to go around the Moscow Underground, which is beautifully painted, as you can see in some of the pictures. We got to visit all of the sites that you learn about on the Russian course, and we got to go on a train overnight from Moscow to St. Petersburg. So that was a really amazing adventure. We hope to do something like that in the future. We also have other trips. So we go to Parliament. That's our politics and history students are welcome to come to Parliament, go around the House of Commons, the House of Lords, and learn a lot about the political system, because that's really important for your modern British course. We also have a relationship with the Holocaust Educational Trust. So we send a couple of students to Auschwitz, the concentration camp, to learn about the Holocaust. So although that is not part of the curriculum, that is something additional that we do. And we have done hundreds of things in terms of getting people in to talk and having lots of visitors. So for the centenary, for example, of World War II, we had lots of visitors come in to talk to us and do lots of activities. We work with the museums a lot of the time to do lots of activities and trips. And we have HADPod, which is our Hayswood Academic Discussion podcast. And this is about the students kind of preparing their own things they'd like to talk about. Different members of staff from different faculties come to speak to us, and we do like an academic discussion. Now, this is fantastic preparation for seminars like you will have at university. So it'll make you feel very confident. It will also get you learning about things that you may never have learned about before. They're not just historical, they're about lots of different things, but it's something the history department really is proud of and something that's really important to us. So there's so many exciting things to do. We can't wait to meet you. We've been really enjoying reading your transition projects and looking at the different bits of research you've been doing for the Russian and British courses. And we can't wait to get started, really. So have a great summer. I hope you come back refreshed, and I hope lockdown and all the different things happening at the moment don't ruin your plans too much, but we really look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great time.